Hey guys, this is Isha, and today we're going to be talking about self compassion. I recently read the book Self Compassion by Kristen Neff, and I felt like this book was filled with ideas that really resonated with me. So I wanted to share some of the main ideas or themes that I felt like I read in this book in this video. So, the idea of self compassion is essentially being compassionate but towards yourself. We always focus on being compassionate to the humanity, to the people around us, but are we really compassionate to ourselves? And this is what this book talks about. So, self compassion basically has three parts to it. The first part being common humanity, where you're essentially accepting the fact that the highs and the lows and the emotions you feel and the things you go through in life is part of a human experience that is shared by a lot of people on this earth. The second thing is being kind towards yourself, right? The action and the words and how you treat yourself should be with the intention of kindness. It should be filled with kindness. A common question I always see being asked is this something that you would tell your best friend or your younger self, etc.? So, and the third aspect of self compassion is mindfulness, that is to be present and grounded in how you are giving compassion into yourself and also being grounded in your thoughts. So, not just, running away with whatever thoughts or action come to your head. Now, why self compassion? So, we are flawed human beings. We make mistakes. Sometimes we are hard to get along with, and we are very imperfect. And in these moments when we might err or when we might act in a way that we don't really resonate with, self compassion helps us act in a way that helps us learn and grow from these experiences. They help us take accountability for the actions that we have already committed. The emphasis on self compassion is used as an alternative to self esteem. So there was this emphasis on building high self esteem for any individual. And what was found that when a person with high self esteem commits a mistake or does something knowingly or unknowingly, imperfectly or wrong, when they have to acknowledge that, it hurts their ego and indirectly it hurts their self worth. So a lot of the response is either from on one end it could be self-criticism, or on the other end it could be denial. So looking at this response, self-compassion is shown as an alternative to being also gentle and forgiving on yourself, but also to work from a space of accountability for your actions. Another aspect of self compassion and building compassion for yourself is because of self reliance. In life, there is always going to be ups and downs, or there are ways in which we are going to show up imperfectly. And we are not always going to have people around us to soothe us or to comfort us, right? And or we might not immediately get the soothing we need. So to kind of have that self-reliance to like immediately be able to soothe ourselves is also another component of self-compassion. One of the ways of practicing self compassion is self awareness. So, being aware of your good and bad qualities. Because a lot of people are aware of only their bad qualities and they end up being very self critical. And the people who are only aware of the good qualities might end up looking very proud. Another component of self awareness also comes with the fact of accepting in all the ways you might just be average and ordinary. Having self compassion for yourself, especially in this hyper competitive world where we all want to be extraordinary and more special than others, is that when we have self compassion, we are okay with being average at things, we are okay with being ordinary at things, and not in a way that's self defeating, but in a way that's realistic and that helps us not associate our self esteem with our achievements or not be so focused on in all the ways that we are good or bad in traits. So, the second aspect is self appreciation. That means appreciating yourself for the parts that are good or for the progress that you have achieved. Whether this means that, hey, today I was gentle with this person, or like before I snapped back, I thought over for a moment. This could also extend to gratitude, being grateful for the everyday things that we take for granted, our health, family, friends, even being able to breathe clean air, being able to live in a comfortable house. When you truly appreciate yourself, you don't need to compare yourself to others, nor do you need to put others down in any trait to feel good about yourself or to feel good in general, right? And lastly, to be self compassionate, another thing to focus on is self talk. Now, a lot of times when we have negative or critical thoughts towards ourselves, self compassion essentially tells you to replace them with more compassionate, more positive thoughts. But what it also emphasizes on is to not put pressure on yourself to completely get rid of these negative thoughts. So, if you have a negative thought, to just sit with it and be like, okay, I'm having this negative thought, I'm having this self critical thought, and to also not beat yourself up for being like, oh no, I'm supposed to be self compassionate, and then beating yourself up because you're not self compassionate enough and you're still having these negative thoughts and you can't replace these positive thoughts. So, to be able to sit with the process of being like, yeah, I have a negative thought and eventually I'm going to work my way to replacing it with a gentler sentence or a more compassionate sentence, rather than just kind of pushing it into like this has to be positive and this has to be good. Just taking your time with the kind of thoughts that come to your head and eventually just sitting with them, even when you're at a place when you're not able to be gentle on yourself with your thoughts or words. Just sitting with it and being like, I get it, it's hard to be gentle on yourself right now, and it's okay. We are not going to beat ourselves up because we are not gentle on ourselves, or we are not able to just put this like positive thought process into action right now. So these were the different aspects of self compassion that I felt like this book went through. I do think this is a very radical book to read. At least for me, I think it's the first time something has been written so much in depth and so comprehensively in one book. So, if you have read the book, let me know your thoughts on them. And if you'd like, you could comment down below one self compassionate thought or action that you have done in this month or this week or even today. And I will see you in my next video. Bye.